And we're back once again. It is time for our week 6 review. We do it every single week. The motto is every team, every game. Al, how you doing? Ready to go over what we just witnessed over here on week 6?
Yeah, man. Yeah, this is another fun week in the NFL, man, and it's looking like football, not like the first 4 weeks. So it's a fun time of the year.
I totally agree. Real quick though, I think we should start with this. The Jets and Bills, they played on Monday night. We're going to go over that game, but they both made a move today. The Jets traded for Devontae Adams. Not a big surprise there. There's been rumors of that for weeks now. Um, they're 2-4. They needed to do something if they were going to salvage the season at all. I don't know if this will actually do it, but it'll at least make appease some fans and uh, appease the almighty Aaron Rodgers there who's running the team. Um, but what do you think of that move?
Yeah, listen, it can't hurt anybody. Devontae Adams isn't going to make anybody worse, so I have no problem with it at all. Um, it is interesting that it's probably the last need on the team. You know what I mean? Like they have Garrett Wilson, what's his face, who used to be the Packers, playing really well.
Lazard.
Lazard. Um, but hey, it can't hurt to have more firepower for them. They need something, and
I think
they're
I think if you're Mike Williams, you're in trouble.
well,
You're going to be benched.
I was half expecting this to be followed by a Mike Williams release, honestly. Um,
Yeah. Yep.
so I will keep our eyes open for that because it might happen.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens in the next couple weeks.
Yeah, that hasn't worked out at all.
Nope. And the Raiders got a third round pick, but a conditional one that could turn into a second round pick.
Yes, but the conditions are are highly unlikely. The conditions are Adams becoming an All Pro, which after missing the last 3 games is almost impossible, or the Jets making either the AFC Championship or the Super Bowl, which is highly unlikely.
Right, right.
So it's
So,
probably a third round pick.
right. So, okay. Um, then the Bills, who are leading the division and who play the Jets and beat them, like I said, we'll get into that game. But the Bills counter that. They see the Jets and they get a receiver. They are in much more need of a receiver than the Jets were, and they get Amari Cooper from the Browns. The Browns should just have a fire sale, in my opinion. But
Yeah.
Amari Cooper to the Bills, also for a third round pick, but it can't be any better. There's no conditions. It's just a third round pick. But then they swap picks as well. That's the one detail I don't know is what was the picks that they swapped.
Oh, I got you. It's so Cleveland gets a 2025 third, a 2026 seventh, and the Bills get back Amari Cooper and a 2025 sixth.
Okay, okay. Um, Not too earth shattering on the swaps there, but
Yeah,
yeah, I mean this comes down to a third round pick for Amari Cooper for the most part.
no doubt.
So very interesting, and these teams are locking in, and I'd like to see movement in the NFL. I've talked about this
I do too.
before. When I was smaller, when I was growing up, when I was watching the NFL, I mean, it was nothing like the MLB trade deadline or hockey or basketball. The trade deadline came and went. A lot of times you didn't even know it happened because
Yeah,
there was no movement at all.
none.
And now there is.
Oh, it's a whole different. What probably started to creep in the last 10 years or so, I would say, right, where they was getting a little bit more and a little bit more, and then all of a sudden, the last 5 years, it's become a real thing.
Yeah.
Um, I mean,
Yep.
there were years where I don't remember. I'm sure there might have been something little happen, but there are years I don't remember a single trade happening, other than during the draft with draft picks.
Right. Like I said, when the trade deadline, there was years that it came and went, and I didn't even realize it.
Yeah, totally, man, totally. Yep. I mean, I didn't even realize it was so rare to do trades in the NFL when I was growing up. I don't think I even realized you could until I was old enough to be like, oh, well, just don't do it. It's not that you can't.
Right.
Yeah, man, I'm with you. And just specifically on this Bills end of things, real quick, I think this to me, this is a bigger move only because you're getting Devontae's a better player. Cooper's very good. Devontae's better. Um, but the Bills' need was so much bigger. He fills a massive void, a massive void. So if he can, he's been traded midseason before, so theoretically he might know how to acclimate better than your average guy, which is not easy for a midseason receiver to make a big impact. So I'm really curious to see how this pans out. They need him.
Yep. Totally agree. All right. Are you ready to jump into the week? The week that was excellent. We were
Yes.
excellent.
Yeah. Hey, wait. I didn't know those two words went together with our picks this year, but I'm glad we found
Wow.
it.
So let's start right off. San Francisco over Seattle, 36-24. I had San Francisco, and you went with Seattle. That's you got that one wrong,
Yes.
but I got that one right. So 36-24. San Francisco over Seattle. Are the Niners gaining some momentum now?
I absolutely think. I think this is the beginning of it right here. I had a very hard. I wanted to
They
believe
look good.
last year. What
They
was that?
look good.
Yeah, they look great. They look like the real Niners that we know and hate.
Yeah.
Um, and it was just a matter of time. I was hoping beyond hope that this might be like not be fool's gold, that they were actually bad, but I didn't really believe it. So here it is, and now watch out, NFC.
I totally agree. Seattle, they're slipping a little bit here. They need to get back on track.
Yeah.
Got to keep an eye on them because they can falter and fall off the map. I don't think they will because they didn't play terrible. They scored 24 points against the Niners defense that was just absolutely swarming. I think they'll be fine. I think they'll be fine, but I got to keep an eye on them now.
No doubt, no doubt. And this is their fatal flaw right now. Their run defense is horrific. They are 27th in the league in run defense, and that's the one thing they have to shore up to get back to that solid Seattle team we thought we were seeing.
Yeah, I also heard that McCaffrey might be on the way back.
Yeah, I've heard some whispers. I hope it's true. Because
I'm I'm sure it'll be in time for them to play the Cowboys.
yeah, yeah. There you go. That'd be great news, right?
That's what it's going to be.
Oh, that's funny, man. Yeah, you're probably right.
Nothing. I mean, Brock Purdy 255-3, but no picks.
Yeah.
Um, who was this? Who is this Garendo guy?
Oh, he was there. I forget what he was a draft pick this year. I'll find the round while we're talking. I want to say fifth
10
round draft pick.
rushes, nine. He had 99 yards.
Yeah, like 80 of it was on the last run of the game.
Right,
Uh,
right, right. But he had more rushes than Mason. Mason only had 9.
Mason got hurt.
Okay, I didn't know he got
Yep,
banged up. Okay.
Mason. And if you have Mason on your fantasy teams, people just keep your eye. It sounds like he has an AC joint sprain in his shoulder, and he went out with 8 carries, came back like half a quarter later, got 1 carry and never touched the ball again.
Okay.
But they it sounds like optimistic that he'll play this week, but you might want to consider picking up this Garando guy if you're carrying Mason waiting for McCaffrey.
Right. Yeah, Ayuk and Jennings didn't do much. Kittle gets 2 touchdowns but only 58 yards, and Debo Samuel does Debo things, 102 yards and a touch on only 3 catches, which is crazy train.
Yeah, totally, man. That bomb was sweet. That bomb was sweet. That was a pretty
Yep.
pass by Purdy, and Debo did his thing.
And Geno Smith, another 50 attempt passer, loses the game. You can't pass the ball
Yep,
50 times in this league and win. It's impossible.
unless you're Kirk Cousins 2 weeks ago.
Right. On occasion. Okay. On occasion.
It's an unbelievable rarity. I'm with you 100%.
312 yards, touch, 2 picks. Kenneth Walker didn't do anything. Yeah, no, nothing really of note. And by the way, just as a quick reminder, when I asked you before what you think is a lot of penalties in a game, what'd you say?
I said 10. How many?
Well, I think you said the
7 to
average
10.
game was like five to eight or something, or 6 to 8 or something. Was like an average game, and then yeah, we get to like 9 or 10, and that's a lot.
Yes.
Well, I just want to let you know that only one game had 8, and that was the lowest of the whole week.
Oh, I found a really fun stat since you brought it up, and I'll have to punch it up here real quick. I forgot to pull it up, but you wanna feel better about this season. Not that it's going to help much as far as the penalties because they are awful, but you want to feel a little better.
Sure, I would love to.
Okay, in 1976,
Okay,
and I'll find the teams in a second because it's not saying it for some reason.
okay,
Here it is.
just
Okay.
okay,
Seattle Seahawks and Tampa Bay were both expansion teams on October 17th of 1976. They combined, Craig, for 35 accepted penalties for 310 yards
oh my God,
for an
that's the
all-time
record.
NFL record. I got you got me on this penalty thing, and just for fun, I was like, I wonder what the record is because maybe we'll get it this year. I don't think we're going to ever break that record. I think that's going to stand alone with.
No, I think the average amount of penalties is probably going to be very high. Even historical will be high this year. The
It might
average
be.
for every
I don't
game,
know enough. I don't know enough
but
about it. It
not
might be more than
single games, right? But either way, it's I'm on this crusade now of just pointing it out
no.
every
I love it.
game.
I love it. Yeah.
Um,
Yes. That,
the
I
low
think
of the
it's.
week, the low of the week was 8. We had one other one with 9, and everything else is above 9.
Oh, and when we eventually get to the last game of the week, we can talk about penalties for sure. We'll
Yeah.
wait on that.
And for the record, there was 14 in this game, Seattle and San Francisco.
Oh, nice. Very nice. That's solid. Jeez.
Okay.
I
All
love it.
right. Let's move on.
Let's do it.
Jacksonville in Chicago. 35-16. Chicago destroys Jacksonville. Uh my we both got it right, but my thoughts on Jacksonville have changed. They're just bad. They're not going to win any games. I
Yeah.
said I need to either see them win this game or at least play a real good competitive game, and they did not one bit. And
100%.
they're done. They're done.
I agree. Doug Peterson might be the next in season firing. And I
Yeah,
love Doug. I'll love him forever because he won the Super Bowl for the Eagles. But yeah, that team is toast.
yep. Trevor Lawrence, 230 yards. I mean,
Here's a
they're
question for you,
just
Craig.
Evan Ingram though back in with 10 catches and 102 yards.
Yeah, he doesn't play for 4 weeks and he comes back and does that, and that's amazing. I mean, he is a PPR wet dream. It's unbelievable.
Absolutely.
Now let me ask you this. This is a conversation we haven't had. We've had it about other players, plenty. But um, is Trevor Lawrence the quarterback? Is he good? Because I don't know at this point. Like he's not playing any better than freaking Daniel Jones. I mean, what is that? What is the deal down there? What do you think with
He's
him?
probably playing worse.
Yeah.
Well, no, after this week, I know. But regardless,
Yeah.
yeah,
If we're even having that conversation, he's not playing well.
right. Yeah, I don't get it.
I don't either.
But yeah, a couple of years ago when they made the playoffs, I was like, this is it.
Yep.
I thought the team was going to be good, and I
Yep.
thought for sure he's like the future, and no doubt about it.
Right there with you.
Um, Now Chicago,
Mm-hmm.
Caleb Williams.
Woo, buddy.
How good does he look?
We might not have to wait till for a couple seasons to revisit the question of whether he or Daniels is better. He has now outplayed Daniels 2 weeks in a row, and Daniels is still playing great. So this is what's really cool is forget who's better for a second. Two of the best quarterbacks that have ever come in as freshmen or rookies are in the league right now, and it's something to see.
Yeah, 23 for 29, only 226, but 4 touchdowns.
Yeah, and that yardage could have been a lot more if this was a close game. I'm sure.
I totally agree. DeAndre Swift now the second week in a row where he played really well, 91 yards and a touch.
He's playing great all of a sudden, man. You know, my stat is going right out the window. Yeah, Cole
Yep.
Kmet and Keenan Allen had 2 touchdown catches each. Big deal. And another guy we both thought was great, who's not anymore, is Travis Etienne. And he got hurt this time, and it hurt his hammy, which means, I mean, I don't know. You hear hammy, I expect him to miss at least a couple weeks anymore. You know.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. He was good a couple of years ago. He was pretty. He was really good last year as well.
Yep.
But this year, I don't know. But the thing is, what happened? Like, Why did
That's
they just go away from him? I don't understand. He was good
this is
last
the
year.
point, and you just got to the point I wanted to make, and then it set me up perfectly because is this just a bad coaching regime? Is this just do they need a reset with a better coach and all of a sudden everybody looks better? Or are one or both of those guys not what we thought they were? I don't know the answer. I'm mystified by this whole thing. I can't figure it out.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Um,
Um,
yeah.
yeah, because he was good. He was real good last
He,
year.
he was very good. He got hurt his rookie year, and he was good 2 years in a row, and now he stinks. It doesn't compute. So a lot of times when that happens, it's coaching regimes. I mean, remember the ultimate example is Jared Goff under Jeff 1932. Dang it, what's his name? The
Oh
old
yeah,
yeah, you know who I mean.
mustache.
Yes, the mustache. He was the Oilers and slash Titans coach for a long time. Jeff Fisher.
Yes, yes.
And he was horrible for, and then he got traded and now he's great. So, like these things can happen. So I'm curious to see where it all lands. But right now, I mean, somebody most likely Peterson is going to have to pay for this season.
Yeah, it's all going to hell, and yeah, they're screwed.
Yeah,
They're done in my mind until further notice.
100% with you.
And by the way, and Chicago's now a serious threat.
I agree. I agree. The Bears are 4-2.
Yeah, yep.
What the
Um,
hell?
okay. Uh, 10 penalties in that game, by the way.
Okay, right on the right on the mark.
Yeah, of high.
Yes,
um, okay, Baltimore, Washington. Baltimore wins 30-23 in a great game. We both got this
absolutely.
one right as well, but that was a fantastic game to watch, and I watched just about all of that.
Awesome game. Two quarterbacks playing their butts off. One running back playing his butt off. Commanders hung with a really good team. That bodes well. What does not bode well for them is they already have one of the worst run defenses in football. And Allen, what is Jay out? Their really good defense, Jonathan Allen, their defensive tackle, out for the year.
Yeah, that stinks.
So they're 20, I believe after this game, let me wait, I have it. They were 22nd, I believe, coming into this week, and they're now, no, they were 21st, they dropped to 22nd. And with Jonathan Allen out, that's not going to get any better anytime soon, I don't think. Maybe, but I doubt it. So anyway, not that is not going to help them moving forward, but what a heck of a game. And Daniels is wonderful. Jackson, we know, is great. Just awesome.
Yeah, and even even though they lost, I still Washington still looks good. Like they played a good team on the road, played them well, played it to a one-score game, and I lose nothing. None of my thoughts on Washington have changed with that loss.
No, no. Well, except just I downgrade their defense slightly because they lost one of their best players. But yeah, no, they are a very good team. Surprisingly so.
Yes, this is very surprisingly so.
Oh, and one historical note from the game: Lamar Jackson passed Cam Newton for second all-time rushing for quarterbacks, and the only thing left is Vic.
Wow.
Yep, and he'll get him this year probably. He only needs like 400 yards. It'll be close.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, Daniels 269 and 2, very efficient. Um, and Lamar 323, a touchdown. Derrick Henry 132 yards. Zay Flowers 132 yards. All around, just a great game for Baltimore. That's another team that is hitting their stride.
No doubt, they're one of the best teams in football right now. Zay Flowers has really stepped up the last couple weeks, or maybe just gotten opportunities more. But he has looked very good the last 2 weeks, and yeah, everything's clicking for the Ravens right now.
Okay. Arizona Green Bay 34-13. Green Bay wins. We both got that one right as well. That's a trend here.
I like it.
So, what are your thoughts on that game?
Okay, so and you know what? Do you mind if I had a really cool stat for the Ravens game that I forgot to bring up? Do you mind if I go back to it real quick and then I'll answer that question?
Yep, no problem.
Okay, cool. So the Ravens through six. This is a really cool stat. The Ravens through 6 games have the highest run differential since 1933 in the NFL between them and their opposing teams at 878 yards plus. The only other the 2 and 3 teams that they topped are the 1934 Bears and the 1985 Bears.
Wow.
That's a
Whenever you're going to mention the '85 Bears,
yeah. My ears perk because it's one of my favorite teams of all time.
yep, yep.
That isn't
Wow,
my Eagles.
that's a hell of a stat.
I thought that was good, and I forgot to say it when we were talking about them. So thanks for letting me go back to it. And yeah, so let me hit those Cards and Packers now. Packers are. I mean, I've been saying it for. We've been saying it for most of the year. The Packers are real. Jordan Love is real. The Cardinals, I still don't know what to make of them. They had tough luck in this game. James Conner and Marvin Harrison Jr. went out on the first play of the game. Oh no, I'm sorry, that wasn't Marvin Harrison, but he went out early, and
Yep.
James Conner also went out early, and so they played without two of their best weapons. But I don't think they were going to hang with this team anyway. So yeah, big credit to the Packers. They are a legitimate contender.
I totally agree. They kind of did what they were supposed to do here. They took care of business.
Yeah, I agree, and that's what good teams do. I'm so with you.
Yep, they're hitting their stride, and it's another team hitting their stride. This is like the third or fourth game in a row that we've done that we're talking about here, where it's just good teams. San Francisco, Chicago, Baltimore, Green Bay, all have had some question marks, had some losses, but now they're getting into that rhythm, and they're picking up steam. All
No,
of
it's a
them.
bunch of Spencer Striders. I'm with you, man. 100%. That's perfectly put. Perfectly put.
Jordan Love, 22 of 32, 258 yards and 4 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs, workman like 62 yards. Romeo Dobbs, 2 touchdowns. So Jaden Reed had 6 catches and a touch. All in all, yeah, Green Bay did, like we said, did what they were supposed to do here at home. Took care of business.
No doubt. And they went up big early and just kept that lead. They played you know, they seemed to play close to a perfect game. Love had a pick, but they played a pretty damn perfect game.
Yep. Okay, 41-21, Houston destroys New England in New
Aha.
England. The Patriots are what we thought they were. So
Yeah.
you want to crown them, crown
Nice.
them.
I love a Denny Green quote.
Yep. But yeah, Houston is only has one loss.
Yeah. No. They've
Houston's
been
one of the best teams in the league.
I completely agree. And they've been doing it semi quietly somehow, Doesn't it seem that
Yep.
way to you anyway?
Yeah, we both picked this one right. Obviously, this one was an easy one to pick, and it kind of worked out the way that we thought. I mean,
Yeah.
kind of surprised Patriots actually got 21, but other than that, Stroud only threw for 192 yards, but he didn't need to. He had 3 touchdowns. You had Joe Mixon with 102 yards, and then you had Damian Pierce, the ghost of Damian Pierce showed up and got 76 yards as well. They ran like crazy for this
That's
game.
awesome. That is awesome. Yeah, because they let Mixon, they pulled the reins on Mixon after getting up big early, and Pierce did his work. But Mixon being back was huge. He had missed 3 games in a row, and their run game muddled through, but it wasn't like this at all. And here's what I want to say about it. Well, 2 things. One, Texans are real deal, legit contender. And you mentioned being surprised the Patriots got 21 points. So was I, and that's all Drake May. This guy had a hell of a debut, especially playing on that team. Now he
That
threw
was
2 interceptions.
that was my
That's not
that was
good.
my next. Yep. That was my next thing that I was going to say. So let's talk about Drake May.
Yeah, man. Oh well, you go to town because that's
Well, well, 243 yards, 2 picks, like you said, but 3 touchdown passes in his
exactly.
first game. Oh man, you gotta like what you see there. He found Demario Douglas might become one of his guys.
Yep.
Touchdown for him. Hunter Henry got one, of course. Antonio Gibson did not do anything on the ground. He had no ground help whatsoever. Antonio Gibson had 13 carries for 19 yards.
That's an unbelievable stat line.
Yeah, I mean, so he had no help at all on the ground, and
Yep.
he still threw 3 touchdown passes. You gotta like what you see. The interceptions, he'll clean those up. He's a rookie. It was literally his
Absolutely.
first game.
I'm not holding that
Nothing to
against him
be,
at all.
yeah, nothing to be concerned about against a really, really good team.
Yeah, and an excellent defense, and he ran 5 times for 38 yards on top of that. So this
Yeah,
guy, like, he's instantly a playable fantasy guy based on this one game. If he could do that against the Texans, like, you could start him in Superflex for sure, and you could in a pinch you could use him. But if he's doing that in his first game with the notorious lack of weapons, he did it without Ramondre Stevenson, who was out with an injury, who's a good pass catching back. If that, I mean, I couldn't be more impressed by his debut in those circumstances.
totally agree. By the way, in the Washington Baltimore game, there was 9 penalties, and in the Arizona Green Bay game, there was 18 penalties.
Oh, good lord,
18
that's a lot. My
in
goodness.
Arizona, losing 34-13. They got called on 13 penalties.
Wow, wow, man, that's a lot.
And you think it gets better? Houston, New England, 13 penalties.
Oh, nice, nice. Yeah, well, they
So I
tightened it up
mean,
from
just
18.
just keeps going. The next game had 19 penalties, which we're going to talk about now.
Okay.
19 penalties. Tampa Bay destroys New Orleans 51-27. This was one of your caveats that actually worked out for you because you
Yeah,
said if who was it, Carr?
yeah.
Yeah, if Carr played, you were picking Tampa Bay, but if not, then no. If Carr, wait a minute, what was it?
If Carr
If,
played, I was picking the Saints. If no Carr, I'm picking the Bucks.
right. Okay, yes. And Carr did not play, and so you get the win because the Bucks won. We both got that one right. But were we expecting 51-27 on the road?
Oh, hell no. And this was crazy. This was crazy, man. This game was 27-24 Saints at halftime.
Yeah.
Figure that one out. The Tampa Bay scored 27 unanswered points in the second half.
Yeah.
And Spencer Rattler played a pretty good first half, and then he started throwing picks in the second half. So he ended up with 2 interceptions, and both led to instant points. And so the rookie thing caught up to them. This would have been a heck of a game with Derek Carr. You know, it would have been interesting to see how it panned out. Who, by the way, is they're saying I should I should update this after I accused him of being a soccer player last week. He he He's out 3 to 4 weeks. They're saying so. It's a legit injury this time.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I mean, wild game, man. I mean, 27-24 at half, and then it ends up a complete blowout. What a
Well,
fascinating
I
game.
mean, Baker threw 3 picks,
Yeah, and
so I
that's
think
what.
that's what
Yeah.
kept them in them. But then, by the way, New Orleans scored all 27 of their points in the second quarter. That's it.
Oh,
They
that's
only scored.
crazy.
They didn't score in the first, third, or fourth quarter at all.
That's right. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah. Oh, that's why. Because it's even more wild. You're right. Because Tampa Bay was up 17-0.
Yeah.
And then by the halftime, they were down 27-24, and then they win 51-27. What a wild ass game.
Yeah. Mayfield though threw for 325 and 4 touchdowns. Um, let's see here. Godwin 125 yards and two. His best game in a while. I might even venture to say his best game in 2 years.
I mean, that would be a lot of people's best game in 2 years. So I'm with you.
Right.
He's having a heck of a
Right.
year.
Yeah, he is.
This is the season people have been waiting for since he had that horrible injury.
Yeah, Mike Evans was pretty quiet, 2 catches, 30 yards. But let's talk about Bucky Irving and Sean Tucker. Did you see the Bucky Irving run
Yeah, yes, I did. Bucky,
where
man,
he broke about 8 tackles and then went completely across the field? Just,
unbelievable, unbelievable.
just a
That never
great
that kind of
run.
thing never works, and he made it work. It was awesome.
They both had 14 carries. Sean Tucker had 136 yards,
Yep,
and
and
Bucky Irving had another 81.
yep, and
They,
Tucker's got 3 catches for 56 yards and another touchdown. Man, I mean, I don't know where Sean. I don't know anything about Sean Tucker. Yeah,
me neither. As
I
a
certainly knew
team,
about Bucky going in, but I didn't know about Sean.
they ran for 277 yards.
Yeah, that's incredible, incredible.
And you would think they wouldn't have enough time to score, with all that running, they wouldn't have enough time to score 51 points, but they did.
Yeah, turnovers, I guess, with Rattler, but yeah, and you know, it from the third quarter on, at least, or midway through the third quarter, they knew the run was coming. So to be able to just run it down their throats when there's this huge lead and all the defense is doing is trying to stop the run so they can force a punt and get another shot at it. I mean, that tells you how good they were running that ball that day.
Yep.
Very impressive. Very impressive.
Yep. All
Oh,
righty.
and one thing about that too, real quick, is Chris Olave went out with a concussion. He
Right.
is
Keep
having
an
a
eye on that.
tough year for Olave, man, and he's probably going to miss at least one game.
I would say for sure. 19 penalties, as I said, just absolutely ridiculous amount of penalties. I
Boo.
friggin' hate them, and I just hate they just ruin the flow. You
I agree.
can't watch a game without, and you can't even get excited until the play's over. And when a play is over, you get a big catch or something. You can't even get excited because you're waiting to see if there's a flag.
Yes, it happens all the time,
And
and it drives
it's
me nuts too.
awful. It's awful. Like and seriously, you get a punt return, a kick return, a touchdown, a really long run, a big touchdown run, or a big bomb touchdown pass, whatever. And before you get excited, you have to make sure there's no flags.
I'm with you, man. It's a real thing. It's a real thing. It's annoying. I
Happens.
don't like it,
Yep.
and I like your
Oh,
crusade. I'm behind
all right.
it.
Let's go. Well, to your game. Philadelphia wins 20-16. We both got it right, but Philadelphia did not win the way we thought they would. Um, Go ahead. This is your team. How are you feeling after 20-16? I do remember you last week saying that a win was obviously most important, but you wanted to see a good win, a big spread here, or at least a bigger spread, and you didn't get that. So how do you feel?
I feel middle of the road. I'm not ultra disappointed. I'm not certainly not fired up, but I will say this: and this is one of those games where the score doesn't tell the entire story. I feel a lot better about the defense after this week. I mean, they should have stuffed the Browns, and they did.
Yep.
The total yards in this game were 372 Eagles, 244 Browns.
Yep.
So the defense was a lot better. Again, against a team it should have been better against. One of those, the only touchdown that the Eagles allowed was a blocked field goal that was returned for a touchdown. So the defense only allowed 9 points. So
Yep.
I'll take that every day of the week. What was not super awesome was the offense. It was very mediocre, very spotty. Um, they made some big plays when they had to. Hurts didn't turn the ball over, which is the what I've been waiting for all year.
Right.
So
Yeah, because I think he was on like an 8 game streak or something.
I don't know. You're probably right. I don't know the number, but it was too much for sure.
Yeah. Right.
Um,
Right.
for sure. And he ended up, a very if this was Daniel Jones, we'd be like, "Oh my God, it's the best game he's ever played in his life." But given that it's a guy who was second in the MVP voting 2 years ago, it's just okay. He went 16 for 25, 264, two touchdowns, zero interceptions, 14 rushes for 33 yards. They could not get Barkley going, and it wasn't like they didn't give him touches.
Yeah.
Barkley had
18 carries, but only 47 yards, under 3 yards a carry.
Yep, and that's that might be the one thing left in the Browns that's decent is their run defense.
Yep.
So we'll just take that L for a week. But another thing, man, and this is a theme with both our teams and a lot of teams in the NFL. Some big injuries again for the Eagles, man. Three massive injuries. Goddard went out with a hamstring injury. I don't know. I haven't heard anything since. I don't know how long he'll be out. Darius Slay went out for the whole game, their best corner, and Jordan Mailata, their Australian rules football tackle, who is also has beautiful pipes. Is he got hurt too with a hamstring injury? So hopefully not all of them are out for any length of time, but we'll see.
Yep. Yep. AJ Brown, really good game, 6 for 116 and a touch.
So nice to
Uh,
have him back. Holy crap!
yep. Yep.
And did you see by any chance the Eagles were trying to run out the clock and they had a third and something like a third and six or something? I don't even remember what it was. I don't remember the down and distance actually, but they had to get one more first down to clinch the game, and they throw a 40-yard bomb to AJ Brown. It was beautiful.
Right. Were you okay with that while that was in the air, or were you going, "What the hell are you doing"? Because I
No,
would have been
I
going, "What the
loved it.
hell are you
I loved
doing?"
it. And there's
If it was
no
my Cowboys, I would be saying, "What the hell are you doing?"
yeah. See, I get that, but if you're as long as that ball was going to AJ Brown, I'm fine with it. If there's anybody better contested balls in the NFL. I don't know who it is. It's close. There's a couple guys that are in that league, and there's guys that have these great strengths and different things. Like CeeDee Lamb is better at some things than AJ Brown. AJ Brown is better than CeeDee Lamb at certain things. They're both two of the best receivers in the league. What AJ Brown does really well is not let the other guy get the ball when it's close.
Absolutely. Well, I think if you're the Eagles, you just you take the kind of ugly win or the ugly score, like you said.
Yeah,
When you
yeah,
dive deeper, you see that it was the Eagles really should have won by a bigger margin. But you take the ugly 4 point score there, and you just move on.
I
Just get
agree.
out. You just move on, and yeah, we'll see how they respond moving forward here.
Yeah, because this was not a. The final thing I'll say about it is this was not a. Okay, everything's right with the Eagles game for sure, but it wasn't a. Oh, they're still sucking it up game. So I'm with
Right.
you. Take
It's
the
kind of like
Ducky.
I feel exactly the same as I did last week about them. They didn't move the needle either way for me in this game.
Yeah, there's a lot to prove there, and at least they didn't lose a game in the process.
Right. Yep. Absolutely. I totally agree. That's a good assessment. 12 penalties in that game, by the way.
All right. Okay. Yeah, it felt like more watching it. I'll say that.
All right. Colts Denver. Indianapolis gets the win 20-17. And we both had caveats, and with our caveats, we both won.
Yeah, totally, man. Totally. Isn't that funny? And we had different caveats, didn't we?
Yeah, I had Tennessee winning if Anthony Richardson played, but he didn't. So then I won with Indianapolis, and you had what? Would you have? You had if Rudolph plays.
That's right. Yeah, I had Tennessee winning if Rudolph plays, and Colts if Levis played. Yep.
Yep, and Levis played. So there you go. Either way, we both got the win, and it was pretty close. You were pretty close on your score. You said 19-13. It was 20-17. Kind of an ugly blah game. Two teams kind of totally in the mid, if anything. But Tennessee is actually they're falling off into oblivion. They're not. They're pretty bad.
Yeah, and if they're determined to stick with Will Levis, they're going to be really bad. How about that Levis stat line, my man? 16 for 27 for 95 yards, one touch, one pick. I mean, that is just I mean, that's
It's,
just
it's brutal. It's brutal.
it's awful, awful, awful. Um, the flack and one thing about Tennessee is they have a half decent defense. You called that early on, and you have been correct about that. They the Flacco magic tamed a bit this week. He didn't chuck for almost 400 yards and a million touchdowns. He went 22 for 38 for 189 yards, two touchdowns and a pick. So they kept him in check. Pollard, by the way, is having one heck of a year for the Titans. The fact that he's playing that well when they're making him play behind Will Levis is a real credit to him.
Yep.
But as long as they stick with Will Levis, they're screwed. If they play Mason Rudolph, if they make that switch and make it permanent, I think they could, you know, get into the muck instead of being one of the worst teams in the league. But I think as if they're going to stick with Levis, they're one of the worst teams in the league.
Yep. And the Colts are firmly in the muck as well.
Completely agree. Completely agree.
All right, not a whole lot on that game for me. If I'm ready to move on, if you are.
Yes, sir.
Oh, real quick, 16 penalties in that
Oh,
game.
nice, nice.
Good lord. All right, Chargers Broncos 23-16. We both picked the Chargers. The Broncos are also kind of like Tennessee. They're falling out of the muck to a lower level. Um, in my opinion, what do you
Yeah.
feel about the Broncos after this loss?
No, I'm with you 100%. And talk about, we talked in that Eagles game how the score didn't quite match the game. This one was way worse in that regard. The Chargers were up 23 to nothing at the start of the fourth quarter, Craig.
Yeah, I see that. Denver scored 16 in the fourth quarter.
Yep. So, and also bad news for on a team that's not very good, cannot afford to lose their best player and one of the best players in the NFL. Patrick Surtain got a concussion on the first defensive play of the game.
Yep, yep.
So bad team got way worse, and if he misses next week, take the other team and the over. I don't remember who they're playing off the top of my head, but take their opponent and the over if Sertan does not play.
Who are they playing next week?
Can't remember.
Oh, they're playing the Saints.
Oh, there you go. Saints in the over, even with Spencer Rattler.
All right. Um, Herbert kind of workmanlike 237 a touch, didn't throw a pick. How about J.K. Dobbins? 25
I
carries
love
for
it.
96 yards. I do too. I absolutely love it. Love to see it. Uh, got a real soft spot for him. I really want him to do well.
I'm right there with you, my man. I'm glad you brought it up. It is so cool to see. You hate to see these guys that just suffer through these injuries, and boy, did he suffer through some injuries. Um, and it is all clicking. I mean, he 25 carries, man. You know, he is a workhorse. The Ravens never tried to make him a workhorse. I mean, they never really had much of an opportunity. But even when he was playing, he was the guy that was the big play guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Him and
he
Gus Edwards were splitting.
exactly he was the lightning to Gus's thunder. That's right. And now he is a bell cow and still has the breakaway ability, but is the bell cow. I just love it. I absolutely love it. And the Chargers. Wow, Harbaugh is doing, I think, everything you and I thought he would do coming in. He's getting the most out of what this team has, in
Yep.
my mind, anyway.
Totally agree. Bo Nix had a decent. I mean, 19 for 33 is not great. 216 is not great. Two touchdowns, one pick, but then he had 61 yards on the ground. That's
Yeah,
impressive.
yeah,
So give him.
yeah,
You got to give Bo Nix some credit.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, no, he's had a couple games this year that have been decent. So, yeah, I'm not writing him off yet as much as I love the nickname Bo Picks.
All right, let's move on to Pittsburgh and Vegas. 32-13. The Steelers get the win, but the story that I want to talk about first is the fact that it has been announced that next week they are benching Fields in favor of Russell Wilson.
Well, no, it has not. It has been misreported as that, but here's the actual quote because I was waiting for this to come up. First of all, it's he is leaving it open, is what he said. Um, it sounds like it might happen, which I think is crazy personally, but it's also Fields did leave the door open, so I kind of get it.
Yep.
So here's the actual, because you know how the headlines are, and I read the same headline you did and was like, what the heck? And then I started reading into it, and I was like, oh, they're stirring the pot. Here it is. Steelers plan to give Wilson first team reps, splitting the reps with Justin Fields this week. Um, Head coach Tomlin said Tuesday that Wilson and Fields will practice this week, but didn't tip his hand as to who is going to start. And that is from earlier today, after today's practice. So,
But it's trending in that direction. I think we're gonna get Russell Wilson on the field as a starter either this game or net, in the very near future, unless Fields plays better. But he's been doing this for a while now. This is who he is, and what he does. Should be enough to keep the job, but I don't think it is. I think we're going to see Russell Wilson probably this week, if not definitely the week after.
yeah, I'm curious, man.
And
I'm
not
really
that I'm in favor of it. I just think
sure.
that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, I won't argue that necessarily. It's hard to read Tomlin.
Yeah.
He's a tough one to read, man. And he doesn't give anything away. He had to give away the first team reps because the reporter saw it. So I don't know why you would do that unless you are considering it heavily. So that's why I agree.
Right. Right.
I just it's
Well, let's see. Fields went 14 for 24, not that great. 145 yards, not good at all. No touchdowns, no picks. But he did run for another 59 yards and two touchdowns. And
right.
that's the element he brings, and that's what you should be looking at to keep him on the field.
Yeah, and the Steelers don't have a very good offensive line. I've talked about it a lot this year because they're missing two legitimate starters and another guy who was in competition to be a starter in training camp. Um, and so now you're going to And I listen. I'm higher. I like Russell more than most people still. Okay, I still think he could be a decent quarterback given the right circumstances. I am not sure this is the right circumstance. He has steadfastly refused to run for the last 5 years for some reason, as much as as much as possible. He is going to have to run behind this offensive line. It is a bottom third offensive line in the league. It's not going to keep him upright. So I don't know. It's an odd. Fields is like almost like the perfect guy for this team because is he a great passer? No. Is he has he worked his way into solid mediocrity at least and a little better? I think so. And he has that other element that they really need because of the offensive line as a sieve. So I don't know. I think you're right that it's going to happen. I don't like it.
Right. I totally agree. Najee Harris had 106 yards on just 14 carries, almost 8 yards a carry there. So that was good to see, but that was about it offensively from them. Four field goals added to the three touchdowns on the ground, two from Fields, one from Harris. For the Raiders, O'Connell played 27 for 40, touch and a pick, 227. Nothing really here. I'm looking Madison, 33 yards rushing, led the team. Brock Bowers is still doing things though. 9 catches,
Yeah,
71 yards.
Brock's an absolute stud, no doubt about it. He has walked his into the league and become instantly one of the best tight ends in football.
Yep, but
Very
that's about
impressive.
it going on through the air. Nothing else going on.
Yeah, no, and Aiden O'Connell looked pretty much like Gardner Minshew, so it didn't move the needle at all.
Yep, totally agree. All right. Atlanta, Carolina, 38-20.
Woo!
Atlanta gets the win. We both got this one right. By the way, for those keeping score, so far I haven't got one wrong at all, and Al only got one wrong, the very first one, and we've been both right along every game since then.
Unbelievable after the last few weeks, my man. I love it.
Okay, so with that in mind, oh, Pittsburgh, Las Vegas had 11 penalties. Atlanta, Carolina has 15 penalties.
I would. Can I take a bet that Carolina had more?
That I don't have.
Mm,
I
no
only
worries.
wrote
I'm
that.
sorry.
I only wrote that information down when it was something outrageous,
Right on. Right on. Yeah, I was just assuming
like
because
Tampa
we're the
Bay
traffic.
getting 12 out of 19 or Arizona getting 13 out of 18.
Yeah, that's pretty wild.
But for the Falcons, Bijan is still getting out carried by Al Jair, but they both had good games. They ran. The Falcons rushed for 198 yards. Um, Bijan had 95. Al Jair had 105. But Bijan had two touchdowns. Jair had one. Cousins only had 225 yards, no picks and a touch. They kind of took care of business here. Drake London, 74 yards and a touch. He's a stud, in my opinion. I really like Drake London. I think he's awesome.
Me too.
And yeah, they just kind of took care of business with Carolina, who Andy Dalton did Andy Dalton things. 26 to 38, two touches, but two picks and
Yeah.
220 yards. Chuba Hubbard, okay, and that's about it.
Yeah, man. Yep. It's the Falcons have started becoming a really good football team over the last few weeks, and it's their offense is just bursting into awesomeness. I mean, they could have torn this team up if they had to. They could
Yep.
have Cousins could have gone for way more. Um, yeah, and I'm with you on London. It's cool to see somebody that's a good quarterback and somebody calling good offense is finally there to unlock him because everybody's been waiting for it, and here it is. That guy's a stud. Um, yeah, no, the Falcons are to me. I am very curious to see. I don't know I don't know. I don't have it. Doesn't matter. At some point they'll play the Buccaneers, and that's the game I really want to see.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's coming up. I don't know exactly when, but that's definitely coming up. Um, yeah. Deontay Johnson had a decent game for Carolina. They scored 20 points, but they were at home and they got blown out pretty much. And Atlanta moves to 4-2, and these teams are shaping into who they're going to be.
Yes, for real,
And
for real.
it has started to happen really last week, but now it's really starting to happen. There's getting to be some separation here, and we're at the point we're like a week or two away where Parcells' famous quote really gets into play. I think he always said in November. Once you hit November, the first game in November, you are what your record says you are.
Yeah, yeah, no, you could write a book with Parcells quotes, and that's a great one. I love that one, and I have one thing I want to add on that. Deontay Johnson, to me, I haven't heard anything. I don't know if it's even being discussed in their team, but he makes a lot of sense to be the next wide receiver traded.
Yeah, yeah, because he's a good player.
He's a very good player, and there's not. I've said this a lot. Mid-season is hard for receivers to come in and make a big impact. It's also hard to walk into your new team and make a really big impact right away. And he did that as soon as they switched to Dalton. I mean, there's nothing anybody could do playing with Bryce Young, but as soon as they switched to Dalton, he became a stud. And that's not easy to do in week 3 of your new team. So that bodes well for him being traded and being successful. So if I was a team out there needing a receiver, I'd be calling the Panthers.
Yep. Okay, yeah, 15 penalties in that game. All right. We have Detroit going to Dallas. We don't need to talk about that. So we'll move to Cincinnati okay.
I love it. Oh, buddy. Woo. Oh, man.
Well, not to make excuses because there's no excuses and nobody's going to cry for you. Cowboys were missing 6 players on their starting 11 defensive players.
Right, right. No doubt. That's real.
6.
Yep. I mean,
So
you're
this
not
is
gonna get any sympathy from an Eagle fan. We've been missing that amount for most of our games too. But it's real. It's real.
Yeah, so that was a huge problem right out of the gate. Couldn't stop the run, as we know. Even when they're at full strength, they have trouble stopping the run. But they really couldn't stop the pass either. Guys were just absolutely wide open with guys covering them, and I don't even know who they are. I don't even know their name. Like a guy makes a tackle, I'm like, who the hell's that?
You're right. Totally.
Just
Oh,
absolutely destroyed by injuries. But I don't think with the way this game went, I don't think if they were at full strength, they would have kept it close. Detroit, another team that is becoming who they are. They are very, very good, and they also had last year's game in mind. I think they tried to be jerks and get an offensive lineman to score like 3 different times. They tried that
right,
from
right.
last year. Uh, it didn't happen, thankfully. But
At
other
least
than
he
that,
reported eligible.
yes. Um, other than that, I mean, Goff 315 and 3, no picks. Montgomery 80 yards. Gibbs 63 yards. Jamison Williams 76 and a touch. Amon Ra only 37, but a touch for him. Laporta, that really dumb 3 flea flicker fucking bullshit.
Yeah. And by the way, what a crazy stat line for Laporta. 1 target, 1 catch, 51 yards, and a touchdown.
Yeah, yeah.
That's one of the weirdest stat lines I've ever seen. And on that play, like you said, nuts.
Yep. Dallas absolutely pathetic. I don't know why Ezekiel Elliott's getting more carries than Rico Dowdle. Could we please stop this? Can we
See,
please stop this?
and I just congratulated you last week for Dowdle grabbing that job firmly, and that's the end of it. And then they go right back to Zeke the next week. That's insane.
Ugh.
See, that's
Yeah.
where I wonder if it's Jerry getting in the coach's ears because it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. I don't know. Who knows? But 2 funny things and then one serious thing. Did you see either like the Eagles fans or I'm sure the Giants and Commanders fans are all sending around this meme of the silent walk to the locker room that the Cowboys had after the game. I mean, like Jerry Jones in front and the entire team, and you could have heard a pin drop. I was wild. I've never seen the video like that before. But the really funny one was this this female Cowboy fan puking her guts out while a guy in a Lions jersey is doing the gritty in circles around her.
Yeah, I mean, it was puke worthy. There's no doubt about it. They got showered with booze. They haven't won a game at home yet, which is weird because last year they didn't lose a game at
They
home.
were
I don't.
undefeated. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand. They haven't won a game at home yet. They've won 3 road games for some reason. They are firmly just a around 500, right in the muck kind of team. That's it. That's all there is to it. And even when they get full strength, maybe they'll be on the upper end of the muck, but that's as
Yeah.
good as they're going to get. That's about it. But now they're on the middle of the muck because they're not an upper muck. They're not an upper muck team.
I love
They're
that term, and I feel you right now. It's
There's three
surprising.
tiers to the muck, in case you know. There's an upper muck, a mid muck, and a low muck. They are
Yes,
firmly in the middle muck, and when they get everybody back, they'll be in the upper muck.
it's like the Lord of the Rings with Middle Earth and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
But here's what surprised me about this game the most. I mean, the score surprised me. I didn't expect it to be that big. I thought that the Lions would win handily, but not like that. What surprised me was not that the Lions offense was able to destroy the decimated Cowboys defense. Even if they were healthy, they're the perfect matchup for the Cowboys defense. So because of the run game,
Yeah.
so it didn't surprise me much there. You know, it was the big number was a little surprising, but not overwhelmingly. What surprised me is that the Cowboys offense was so ineffectual against this defense, who are good, but I don't have the Lions on my list of great defenses in the NFL right now. So I am stunned that they were that ineffective.
Well, then well, what happens too is then you become one dimensional and you have to pass every play and they know it. I'm not. If that becomes a trend of for their offense, then I'll be a little bit more concerned. I'm just going to chalk that up. That was just awful all around, just horrible defense, and then the offense just couldn't get anything going right. And plus, also the running game, the whole Ezekiel Elliott, that experiment has got to end. You need to stop. Just stop,
I don't understand it, man, because
please.
they have a guy who's very good, and he proved it the week before, and then
Hey,
they do
five
this.
carries. Gave him 5 carries.
Yeah, and on which he averaged 5 yards a carry, by the way.
Yeah, and Elliott had 8 carries. After again, they couldn't run because it became one dimensional. But Elliott had 8 carries and he ran for like 14 yards or something.
Yeah, it was like 1 point something yards a carry. Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
It's
stop it. Just stop.
nuts, nuts. Okay, so the one serious thing I want to bring up, and this is bad for the Lions, is the Aiden
Yep.
Hutchinson injury. Man, that's so sad. It's such a bummer. He was leading the league in sacks, and he was, he's a great all around player. And boom, out for most likely the year. Although they're saying if they play the Super Bowl, he might be able to play.
Yeah, I mean that was a horrifying injury. Horrible to see. Did you see it? Actually see it? See it?
I looked away. I knew I was catching it on a
It
replay.
was brutal.
I still have nightmares about Joe Theismann and Eddie McCaffrey. So I,
It was almost like those. It was almost those bad. Maybe not as bad as Theismann because it wasn't a definitive like snap. But I
yeah.
tell you what, his leg hit his teammate's leg, and it just wrapped right around it, snapped right in the shin, and just wrapped all the way around.
Oh, that's so gross, man. Oh, that's so gross. Wow. Oh, these guys are tough sons of guns. I'd be
Or maybe not
whimpering
the
like a
shin,
little
maybe
girl.
the tibia, the side of the leg, whatever. Either way, it wrapped around the other guy's leg at a place where his knee was not, so there should be no bending, and it bent all the way around.
Oh, that's harsh, man. That is harsh. I know he had surgery already. I hope he's okay, mends quickly, and if they make it to the Super Bowl, I hope he plays. But
Yeah, yeah,
it's just a shame because he's a heck of a player and they're having a nice season. So I hope they can compensate for that because they just lost one of their best players.
yep, yep. But they are very good.
Legit, bro. And their offense is so good. So good.
Yes. Do the Eagles play them?
That's a good. I mean, I hope not, but
I would just say that would be a pretty good game, though. That'd be a game to watch.
I'll find it while we're talking.
Probably not. I think the only reason why Cowboys are playing them is because number one team plays number one team.
Oh, I see. I couldn't see. You are much more on top of the schedule than me. I always
It's
think
it,
that. I never
what it
remember what division they're playing or any of that stuff. So
what it
that's
is you play one entire division in the AFC, one entire division in the NFC, and then you play the other NFC division teams that finish in the same place as you. So if you finish first, you play the other two
oh.
divisions in the first place teams. If you finish second, you play the other two division second place teams.
They do not.
And
You as usual nailed it, my man. And they do not play the Lions. You are absolutely correct.
right,
They
because the division we're playing this year in the AFC, it's the North, and in the NFC,
the South, right?
it's the South. I think I
Yeah,
don't.
because the Eagles already lost to the Falcons, and they're also playing the Panthers. I see coming up.
Right, so we're playing the South and the NFC. So that means in the North we're just playing the corresponding team that finished in the same spot. All right.
Sorry
Oh,
about that, Craig. I got a phone call and I had the countdown thing happen. Sorry about that.
no problem, no problem. We're right back. I was just saying, yeah, and the North, since we're playing the South as a division in the North, we just play the corresponding team that finished in the same spot.
Yeah, no, that's
So
great. That makes perfect sense. That's fascinating. So wow, yeah, the Eagles. I'm eyeing up this December 1st game at the Ravens. Whew.
Yeah.
Yikes. Okay.
Good luck, my friend. Good luck. All right.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you. They better shore up that run defense before December 1st.
Okay. Bengals Giants 17-7. Both 2-2-4 teams now. Cincinnati, I think it's too little, too late. Um, Maybe they can make a small run and try to sneak in as the last wild card, but I doubt it. They'd have to really play exceptionally well the rest of the way.
Yes.
So I think they put the hole they dug at the beginning of the year, they always do, is too deep this year, but doesn't prevent them from playing well and winning some games here and there for sure. Um, to be honest, there's nothing special about this game though. 208 yards for Burrow, touchdown running for Burrow. He had a real long run, 55-yard rushing, and Chase Brown got one. But that's it. I mean, Jamar Chase had nobody had 100 yards receiving. Nothing major going on, and then the Giants was just 22 of 41 for Daniel Jones, 205 yards and a pick. Just gross. Everything about this was an ugly game. This was an ugly, ugly game.
I am with you, brother. They this I watched this whole game and boy, it was like a the proverbial watching the paint dry. Couple of things to say about this one. Burrow's run was something else, and I saw he reached something like 19.6 miles per hour or something, which put him in with like some of the slower running backs in the league, which is impressive for Burrow.
Yeah,
um, the Bengals are just a much better team than the Giants. This kind of reaffirmed what I that the Giants still stink. And for a 2-4 team to be much better than you at home is not good for the Giants. Here's what's legit about the Giants, and this is why they're going to play close games like this. Is that freaking defensive front? I mean, they were all over Burrow all night. You know, I think I don't
yeah.
remember how many sacks they ended up with, but they were on his ass all night.
They got
Uh,
4 sacks.
yeah, and it felt like a lot more to me watching it because they were
Well, yeah. I mean, the
inexperienced.
pressures were ridiculous.
Yeah, yeah. Um, so yeah, I mean, this was a team that should have been really good, trying to salvage its season against a team that was maybe playing over its head the last couple weeks a little bit. I really still don't have a real good feel for what the Giants are. I think they're either really bad or at the bottom of the muck. You know.
Right. That's where I'm going to put. That's where I put them. I put them in the lowest level of the muck.
Yeah, and I think I would do that too, only because of how well their defense is playing. Because if
Exactly. Just
yeah,
almost exclusively on their defense
right
because of
on,
their
right on.
defense.
And by the way, Daniel Jones became Daniel Jones again. He turned back into a pumpkin. 22 of 41 for 205 yards and a pick. And that pick was the most Daniel Jonesy of all Daniel Jones picks. Uh, they, he just winged it up into the air as he was about. It wasn't one of those blindside sacks that you forgive a quarterback because he doesn't know he's going to get hit and then the ball goes off target. The guy was running right at him in his face. He looked right at him and just threw the ball 40 yards up in the air. You got to love Daniel Jones.
Eight penalties in that game. So that was the low of the week. Eight, which we at the beginning of the year thought eight was high. That
Yeah,
was the low
right,
of the
right.
that was the low of the week. All
Man.
right.
And then something. Oh, hey, one last thing on that one. I'm sorry. Um, we were talking about Rico Dowdle, how he should have claimed the job for sure in Dallas. Well, Mr. Chase Brown should have claimed that job. If he didn't do it this week, the job is not up for claiming.
Right, right. I totally agree. Um, we both got that one right. We both got the Detroit game right in Atlanta. We've been right since the very first week. I have coming into the Monday night game. I was 13-0, which we've never done
Unbelievable.
before. We've never
Unbelievable.
done it. And then I lost the
Absolutely
Monday night
incredible.
game.
Well done.
And then I lost the Monday night game. But
Hey,
I
that was a
think
tough.
13-1, which by the way, you got the Monday night game right. So we were both 13-1. I don't think we've ever been that good on any week since we've been doing this.
No, I agree 100. Absolutely,
I think
100%.
the best we've done is maybe three losses or something. Never one.
I don't think we even did as well as two. I'm with you. I think three might have been the best. And And boy, I mean, we needed it because we were having a rough season. You know what I mean? Like it was, we were over 500, but we weren't tearing it up. And so this counterbalances two. I mean, I had one really crappy week for sure. So yeah, this kind
Yep.
of balances it out a little bit. We'll see if we can stay awesome moving forward. But boy, we had a good week this week. I might as well revel in it a little bit while we got it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Uh,
and I caveated my way to success on this one because, and I wasn't even sure when the game started if Shakir was playing or not, and I couldn't figure out who I was rooting for.
you had three caveats and won all three of them.
I can't believe that. I usually caveat my way right out of success.
So you had Shakir. If he didn't play, you were picking the Jets, but he did play. So you were picking Buffalo, and Buffalo won. I stupidly picked the Jets, thinking they were going to be inspired by the new coach and the changes, because a lot of times that happens.
Yeah.
Um, but you know what? To be honest, they
Yeah.
they they had every opportunity to win this game.
I was going to say you did not stupidly pick them because two missed field goals by I mean, Zerline, Legatron missed a 30-yard field goal in
Yeah,
on one
I
of
mean,
those.
come on. If hits those, they win.
Yeah, yeah.
So
And now, and by the way, let's not forget the only reason those field goals really mattered a ton is because Mr. Hail Mary made another one. Are you kidding me?
that's his fourth. That's insane.
What
Insane.
the hell? It's unfreaking believable. Unbelievable. I mean, everybody else drops back. You think they have a 0.01% chance of pulling this off. He drops back. It's 50-50.
Yeah, it's crazy. I don't get it, but he did it
I,
again, and the Jets were right there, and they probably should have won this game, but they didn't. 23-20. Buffalo didn't play great. I mean, Josh Allen, 215 yards, two touchdowns. Um, they were running somebody named Ray Davis,
yeah,
20 carries for 97 yards. Actually,
had a
didn't.
heck of a game. 3 catches for 55 yards.
Who the hell's Ray Davis?
He was there. I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure fourth round draft pick. I know he's from Kentucky. I think fourth round pick. Um, so
I did
he was.
not realize James Cook was out.
Well, that was a very last minute thing. He became questionable with a foot thing like Thursday, I want to say. But everything I heard sounded like he was going to play. And then the night of he was ruled out. So where is it? Where are you? And this Ray Davis guy, did you hear them talking about him? How he grew up in homeless shelters and he had 14 siblings, and like he uh, he turned down adoption because they wouldn't take two of his brothers. And I mean, this guy just sounds like an unbelievable. Like the story is made for another Blindside movie. I hope this guy becomes awesome and they can make the movie because it's a heck of a story. I
Wow.
can't find where the draft pick, but I'm pretty sure I heard. There it is, fourth round pick from. He played at Temple, Vandy, and Kentucky.
Okay. Okay. Well, good for him. That's a great story, like you said. I hope he becomes awesome. Um, on the other side, the Jets actually got their running game going a little bit. Brees Hall, 18 carries, 113 yards.
He looked great. He looked like the Brees Hall we've been waiting for.
Right, looked good. Lazard, 114 yards and a touch. Garrett Wilson, 107 and a touch. Aaron Rodgers threw for almost 300 yards, but he did throw that one pick, and that one at the end. He's saying that he kind of buried he buried Mike Williams, which is another reason why Mike Williams might be getting released, especially after they got Javante Adams coming.
And
Um,
Rogers will bury guys, but I actually agree with him on this one. I mean, there was no reason for Mike Williams to slide on that ball. No, I
yeah,
mean,
he's not supposed to. He was running the wrong route.
he was running the wrong route. He reacted wrong but he was wide open, by the way. And if he had just stayed on his feet and turned around, it would have been an easy catch. And then the guy made a hell of an interception because Williams left the door open. So Rodgers is annoying. He can be very annoying with the way he treats his teammates sometimes, but I got to agree with him on that one.
I do too. I do too. Um, I don't think the Jets are all that good. They're not going to be what we thought that might be. But with Adams now, their offense maybe can get going a little bit. I did want to go back real quick. By the way, so 13-1, both of us we are now. So again, one game apart. I am 59-33. You're 60-32.
Wow.
We both got our upsets wrong. You had Jacksonville. I had the Giants. and I wanted to ask you about Nick Sirianni.
Oh, great, because I had this pulled up. Oh man, go. You say whatever you want to say, and then I am ready.
Well, I have begun to start to look at some Philadelphia sports personalities as well as New York sports personalities, and
Okay.
they are losing their mind in Philadelphia over this guy. Losing their mind.
And I get it. Here's what Nick Sirianni made the critical error of forgetting what town he's coaching in this week. He he
He's
can be
bad.
five.
He's bad mouthing his own fans.
Well, here, did you see the clip of him? He did it during the game, Craig. Like it was unbelievable. He's winning a game by 4 points. That's a close game in the end. No matter how they got there, the game was in doubt until that bomb to AJ Brown with a minute left. So whatever's going on, as much as I said that, that it wasn't quite as close as a score, it still was close at the end. There's a clip of him running. Apparently, what I've pieced together from all this stuff, there was a section of fans close to the Eagles bench, behind the Eagles, where the Eagles were on the sideline, that was booing off and on during the game quite a bit. I don't know how many it was, if it was 10 people or 1,000, I have no idea. Um, and I don't know what happened because it was out of context. They didn't tell you what play just happened, but the clip is of Sirianni standing on the sideline. Something happens, and instead of giving a high five to the guy beside him or hugging one of his players, he runs over and starts pointing and yelling at the booers. This is in the middle of the game, Craig.
What? I don't get it.
He's he's off his rocker, man. Like this is so it's becoming Chip Kelly-esque in that now Kelly never took him to a Super Bowl, but he did go 10-6 his first two seasons in back when it was a 16-game season. He went 10-6 his first two seasons in Philly. Yet he was reviled. And Sirianni has gotten to that turf now. Yeah, it's I don't know what to tell you, man. Like, and then he went and what you were talking about is the post game press conference. Then he badmouthed that same group of fans at the press conference. Said, the last thing you want to say in Philly. Well, we played. It really helps when you cheer, but when you boo, you're being jerks. Wrong town, bro. Wrong town.
No. Yeah, you're not playing for the Titans.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah, and it's not San Diego where people are surfing as much as playing football. I mean, oh, dude, I don't know what to tell you, bud. The guy's off his rocker.
So what do you? I mean, they were calling for his job. I mean, I don't think it's going to get to that point in season. But what do you think if they have a little bit of a disappointing year? Is he out?
If they don't make the playoffs, he's out 100%.
What if
If they
they
make,
make it and but get bounced again early?
if they make it, depends on how that would go. If they if they squeak in with a bottom seed and lose in the first round, I'd be surprised if he survived that. If they win the NFC East and they lose in their first game competitively, I'd be surprised if he got fired. And there's a million other variations in between. You know what I
Right,
mean? So
right,
I don't know, man. He's got to be. He's put himself in hot water without even talking about his coaching prowess or not. So yeah, he lit the flame even higher with this stuff, and that's completely on him for being stupid.
okay. Well, that's another thing too. They're coming off the bye, and they didn't. It didn't seem like it was much different.
No, it was the same. It was they had their best players back, but and that helped. But it wasn't even that. They still only won by 4 against one of the worst teams in football. So it wasn't like he should have been doing a victory lap. You
Right,
know.
right, right. And he shouldn't be joining with the fans.
Oh, I mean, it's insane, and you can't win that battle in Philly. You can't win it any place that takes sports seriously anywhere on the East Coast. But Philly, man, no freaking way. Give me a break. Like he could honestly win the Super Bowl this year and still get booed after the game if he keeps being a moron.
Right, right.
Like
And they're
I've
his
never
own
seen this
fans.
dichotomy before. It's fascinating.
um, Real quick, I want to mention too for my Cowboys, uh, the booing was tremendous. They just showered that team with boos, and they're on a bye now. And I'm actually curious to think maybe there'll be some change. I'm curious that there might be some changes coming. Uh,
In
this will be
what do
when
you
it
think?
happens because this is the bye week. They come back and they go to San Francisco again. Every time they play them, they're in San. I don't understand. They played them 3 years in a row, and all 3 games in San Francisco. Why
That's
is that?
crazy. Yeah, that's a legitimate gripe against the schedule makers. I don't understand how that can happen.
Oh my gosh. Um, and bad enough, then they had 2 playoff games against them, both in San Francisco. So the last 5 games, all 5 in San Francisco. But
Yeah,
the
and
playoffs, there's that I can't complain about the playoff one, but the regular season I could.
yeah, I'm with you. Listen. I mean, I'm not crying any tears for the Cowboys, but that's blatantly unfair.
Yeah. So they got that game coming. McCaffrey might be back for that game, and they have 2 weeks now with the bye. They got to do something. They can't just trot back out there with everything the same. They can't do it. They've got to make some changes. Something's got to happen. Um, Jones is out of his mind in terms of how he thinks with the team a lot of the times, but
Oh,
he's got to be on edge with the way they're getting booed at home, the way the fans are reacting. He's got to do something.
oh, you just teed me up perfectly. I almost forgot I pulled this up. Did you hear about his local radio appearance after the
No,
game? Oh, buddy. So the headline says Jerry Jones calls out radio host during feisty interview after Cowboys struggles. Um, so he okay, I'll just read it. Jerry Jones got heated during his weekly radio appearance Tuesday when he was asked about the Cowboys' lack of aggressiveness in the offseason. Cowboys longtime owner and GM appeared to even threaten the jobs of hosts Sean Sheriff, RJ Choppy, and Bobby Belt. What a tandem that sounds like, by the way. um,
wow,
yeah, so here's the exact quote from the radio show. Listen, let me tell you what I'll do about it. I will let us sit down and look at the decisions we made over the last several years. Okay, I'll look at it. Now, if you think I'm interested on a damn phone call with you over the radio, sitting here and throwing all the good out with the dishwater, you've got to be smoking something over there this morning. I'm not. and, and I really don't. I don't even want our listeners listening to me talk about it. This is not your job. Your job isn't to let me go over the reasons that I did something, and I'm sorry that I did it. That is not your job. That's
wow.
not your job, or I'll get somebody else to ask these questions, men. No, no, I'm not kidding. So you said he might be on the edge. I'd say that confirms it.
Well, you know what? Then do something. Do something
Thank
about it.
you. Thank you. Thank you.
To
Because
quote
he
Evan
is.
Roberts in New York, what are you going to do about it?
I love it. I love it. Yeah, because I mean, he was all talk in the offseason. Their big all in proved to be absolutely nothing, and here we are.
Well, all right. Well, that is another week. I actually came up with 2 true or false, but we'll do that in the next podcast. So,
Oh,
uh,
perfect. I have two too. That's great.
all right. So we'll play some true and false in the next podcast. Guys, join us for that one. Of course, we'll be previewing Week 7 in the NFL. And yeah, that's going to wrap this one up. Anything else to add, Al?
No, I'm good, man. That was a heck of a week. Great job. We both got back on track with our picks, and what a fun week to watch in the NFL.
Totally agree. Make sure you guys join us, like I said, for Week 7 preview. Until then, I will see you later.